All right, so this is part 3 of my twin flame journey. So, after after we started dealing with each other, I was catching feelings for him more. Of course, the intimacy, can cloud people's judgment, knowing that I wasn't the only one that he was fucking around with. But I guess at the time, I still had my guard up because, like I said, I just got out of a situation with my daughter's dad. So I didn't want to go through the heartbreak and the disappointment again. So, I guess one could say I was acting wishy washy with him. And he used to be always like, yeah, anytime you act like, he would like, you always act a certain kind of way and be all in your feelings. And anytime you don't get what you want, you know what I'm saying? And he's a Taurus. Okay. And if you know anything about Taurus, they are stubborn. They are a fixed sign. Once they make their mind up, that's just it. They're most Tauruses I know, even though they hide behind a facade of material wealth, nice cars, which he had a Mercedes Benz, the house that I thought he was his, it was nice. Um, he always wore nice clothes and cologne, always had his little jewelry on or whatever. But that's a facade. And a lot of them are very insecure. Pretty much all earth signs that I've run across are the biggest insecurest ass motherfuckers that I've ever met. And that's just my opinion. Doesn't mean it is a fact. But the ones that I've dealt with, especially the men, now I can't say too much about the women, you know what I'm saying? But definitely the men, they are very insecure along with their material wealth. Okay. Um, but they're very stubborn, they're very bullheaded. Um, what they say go is their way or the highway, and they hide their feelings. But when they do love you, they will go through the moon and back. They could be very loyal to you once you capture their heart. Okay. But see, how we started off was that, I was already on the defense. I just knew that this man could break my heart because I was already in a fragile, vulnerable moment after what I had just dealt with. And he had already admitted to me that he had got out of something and he just was doing him. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be a part of that. I felt like, where do I fit in with this situation? Yeah, when he called me, I was available for him, because our sex was the fucking bomb. Like, I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? We had the greatest sex. But after a while, even that loses its touch. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know about anybody else. I don't like to really share my body like that. I don't like, especially when I know that, for one, you don't use protection. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't use protection. So when you have a sex with people, that's when the soul ties connect, especially if you're not using any type of protection, you know. And um I only wanted to deal with him, but I'm sure he had many people that he was fucking with, and come to find out he did because he got cocky with me one day and told me. And but that was a no-brainer, so I wasn't, surprised by it. Um and it became more of a burden for me because it was like when he called, that's when you knew that's what he wanted. He was going through something financial. He told me he was going through something financial. And it just, I don't know, when I was with him, I was very happy, I was giddy, I was excited. But it was temporary, and it was only for the purpose of sexual gratification. And I wasn't feeling that. I wasn't happy with that. You know what I'm saying? Because I really started feeling for him. I wanted to be around him more frequently. I wanted him in my life. I saw him as my emperor. I saw him as my king. My favorite name for him back in the day was my sexy king. You know what I'm saying? Because I had put him on that pedestal. I saw us doing boss moves. I saw us owning shit. I saw us being business owners. I mean, he made me, in essence, want to step my game up. dealing with him definitely made me want to step my game up and deal with a better caliber of a man. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, I told you I dealt with a lot of dusty, needy ass niggas. The niggas that, always had their hand out. Help me, help me, help me. Wounded motherfuckers that, didn't care about themselves, didn't have self love, and I didn't have self love either because I dealt with them. You know what I'm saying? But then he came pretty much with a different energy, but he still was the same type of person. He just was able to hide it a little bit more because he had many masks. So, but nonetheless, I saw him as somebody that I could spend the rest of my life with. And I wanted that to be true, but at that time, I was low on my own self-worth because, I just got out of a situation, so I'm still healing from that, and I remember specifically sitting one night when I was doing a ritual with my candles. I remember thinking about him, and I was like, in my head, like, how would I be able to deal with this type of man? He's somebody that I could see myself with, someone that I feel will be perfect for me, especially as far as looks wise. And, you could tell he liked nice things, you know what I'm saying? It started to, it at that point, I started to question my own value, my own worth compared with dealing with this man. And I already had these thoughts on my own. He didn't have to bring it up or say anything to me. So I remember having the conversation in my head. You know, I I probably was very insecure dealing with him. How will I handle being out in public with him and other females, finding him attractive? Would I be able to trust him and feel like he wouldn't entertain those bitches? Or would I, you know, get an attitude like in the past? You know what I'm saying? I've had these situations with insecurity before. And most of the time it's because a man will make you feel insecure if you don't already have your own confidence and self-worth and stuff like that. And the experiences that I had in my life, that was the main thing that people attacked me, was my self-worth and my self-confidence. They made me feel like I wasn't worth anything, that I didn't deserve a good guy or a nice looking man, or what I'm saying, they preferred me to be with a dusty, and even the dusties, they would try to cause problems and shit. It was just a lot of lessons that I had to learn about my own value dealing with him. And so, because he was going through something financial, I know he was used to women chasing him. I knew that he was used to dealing with women who was willing to take care of him and do things for him and whatever. He was spoiled like that. But I wasn't going to do that. Okay. For one, I've done it many times and I just wasn't going to do that with him. So, sometimes I would ghost him. And he would get really mad. Like, one day he confronted me about it and was like, why you always running all the time? And I was like, I don't be running, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you do. You run all the time. He's like, if you can't handle the little stuff that we go through, how am I going to know that you're going to handle the more complicated things that might come up, And, I was like, okay, but see, at that time, I've always wanted a man that was understanding of me and my feelings and was willing to groom me and show me that he at least cared enough to be in my corner, be loyal, and help me heal by showing me what I need to be shown, whatever I felt was a void in my life, and being that person for me. But what I learned quickly, especially as a grown adult, that you cannot depend on other people for your happiness. If you don't have it within you, do not ever expect anybody else to bring you happiness. You have to already have the happiness inside of you, and whoever comes into your life will enhance that, just like you would enhance them, But I was looking for people to make me happy, and it just wasn't working. So we dealt with each other off and on Out of 5 years, I would say we dealt with each other off and on for like maybe a year and a half. 2017, no, let me take that back. 2019 was the last time I dealt with him. And we fell out. Now, 2018, we were getting closer. You know what I'm saying? We were getting closer. We were seeing each other more. We were hanging out more. Now he was the one who told me he loved me first. You know what I'm saying? He started saying little things because I think it was like 2016. I had cut him off and I went on about my business and I hadn't talked to him for a whole fucking year. Okay. I think he had made me mad because he wasn't responding to me, which I felt like he wasn't showing me enough interest. He wasn't showing me that he wanted me to be in his life like that. And, I would text him or reach out to him and he would never return my call or my text message. And I would have an attitude with him. And so I was like, you know what? I don't need this fucking shit. So I had cut him off. And for a while, I didn't think about him. And then out of nowhere, it was like I was trying to find him in other people that I was dealing with. And I started to long for him. I was missing him. And I was talking to a homegirl of mine at the time. We're not friends no more because of him. But I hadn't talked to her in a while because I've known her for 20 something years, but we will always fall out and stop talking to each other for a year or two. So this particular time, we started talking again. And I saw that she was still on the same shit that she was when we were younger. And, I had matured and grown up from that. And I just didn't want to keep dealing with that. But, because back in the day, we used to always talk about men and what they did to us and how they made us feel and what, it's the same kind of shit. And at this time, 20 fucking years later, I'm not going to keep talking to you about the same shit that we used to talk about when we were fucking younger. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so she was asking me about who I was dealing with, and I told her about him. And I let her know that, I ain't talked to him in a while. I want to talk to him. I miss him. I want to see him. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. So she gave me this idea because I still knew where he lived. You know what I'm saying? There was a picture that I took of us, and your phone these days can locate the time and the place as well as the date that you took the picture. So I took the picture at his home, and so therefore I was able to track him down where he lived through the fucking picture of my phone, the location and everything. So she told me, she gave me an idea to go to his house because she told me to go to his house, and I was like, well, what if he's with somebody? I don't want to knock on the door and a female open up and be like, what the fuck you over here for, or something like that. So I was really in my head about that. So what she told me was, why don't you just go, and put your name. She said, don't even put your name. Just put a little note, call me and your phone number and put it in his mailbox or put it in his door or whatever, right? And so I was like, okay, I'll do that. And so I stalled a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying? I think it probably was another month before I finally couldn't take it no more and was like, I'm gonna go out here and see where this man at. And sure enough, I went out there and I did what he told me, what she suggested that I do. And sure enough, he called me. And when I told him remember now, it was a whole year since we had seen each other or talked to each other. Because he had the mentality of, well, I ain't got to chase after no female. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? I ain't, pretty much like, look at me. You know what I'm saying? Look how good I look. I don't have to chase no woman. You know what I'm saying? That's how his mentality was. So when he found out it was me, he was like, all excited and shit, And so that's how we was able to pick up again. And so when we picked up, he came over to my house and he used to say little shit, like, I can't lose you again, And so when he said that, it was like he was reminiscing about a time where we were together. And he was like, he said, I can't bear to lose you again. And I was looking at him like, Well, in my mind, I'm like, okay, we hadn't talked in a year. We hadn't seen each other in years. So I'm going based off of that. You know what I'm saying? But then I'm looking at him like, we ain't even really been around each other that long for you to be feeling like that. But I didn't question it. I didn't say nothing about it. I just left it as, okay, we hadn't seen each other in a year. So that's what he's talking about. And then he used to say stuff like, I love you. I've always loved you. I'm like, what the fuck? We ain't even been around each other that long for you to be saying it. But I was shocked. I'm just listening to him. I didn't give him no reaction one way or the other because I'm trying to tap into my intuition to see how true the words that's coming out of his mouth is. Is he just gaslighting me? Is he just saying shit that he think I want to hear? Why is he saying these things? But I acknowledged it and I took it as that. And then he used to say shit like, I know you better than you know yourself. So all of these things was indicating that he has known me before. And our interaction with each other, we actually got along. You know what I'm saying? He would play with me, try to pin me down and, tickle me, do little shit. You know what I'm saying? Have me giggling and laughing. We had fun. Okay? But he met my daughter one day. We had went to go pick her up from school. And, I don't really have men around my kids. You know what I'm saying? So my daughter ain't never really seen too many men around me. Maybe probably about 2. I say maybe 3 at the most. So when she saw him in the front seat, she's like, who is this? Blah, blah. So he already had a little heads up on Golden. He's heard her in the background when I'm on the phone with her. And I used to have her little achievement awards on my wall or whatever, and he, kind of got a little glance at what kind of child she was. And so when he saw her, he was playing with her, saying whatever. So we went and got something to eat. And so for some reason, I think it was somebody at my daughter's school's birthday, and she had a birthday cake, a cupcake or whatever, and then the cupcake, it had a ring. And so he took the ring and he pretended to put it on my finger and was pretending to kiss me and all that stuff. I said, don't pretend to kiss me. Kiss me for real. So we kissed or whatever. And my daughter like, ew, all that stuff, right? So I didn't know why he did that. You know what I'm saying? But because of our connection, I was like, okay, this means something. You know what I mean? I know he was feeling me. And see, quiet as kept, I had practiced doing a spell one time. Okay. I never did a spell before. And I was like, let me see if this stuff really worked. And I did do a love spell on him, which I later felt that this is the reason why we were connecting on a stronger connection. You know what I'm saying? He was calling me more. He was reaching out to me more. And I'm going to tell you what I did. So I think one night we had sex and I had a candle, pink candle, red candle, I can't remember, but it was a candle. And I was looking at his picture and I was putting my essence on the candle, okay, while I was looking at the picture. And I was chanting, think of me all the time. I think of you all the time. Come to me. I am yours. You are mine. I was doing all of that stuff as I'm looking at his picture and I'm pretty much dressing the candle. I'm looking in his eyes. I'm blowing the picture up, looking in his eyes. And I'm just talking to him and I listening to music and I'm doing this. That's where the sex magic comes in. Okay. And sure enough, it worked because he started paying a little more attention to me. We started getting closer. Things started really moving forward, okay, between us. I was happy, but there still was a little tweaking it had to do. Now, one time he came over, and this is where things went wrong. He came over to my house one time when Golden was there, caught himself trying to play with Golden. Golden didn't know how to deal with him because she's like, who is this man? Why is he touching me? Because he trying to tickle her and do all this shit. And I'm like, you doing shit too soon. My son had met him and everything, and he trying to play with my son, shit like that. So something happened some words were exchanged between him and my daughter, and he told her, I'm your daddy. And so she like, no, you're not. My daddy is in Atlanta. And so he was like, well, I'm your stepdaddy. And she was like, no, you're not my stepdaddy until you marry my mom. And so she was checking him. At that time, she was like 9 years old. And so I'm looking at him like, why are you saying these things to her? Like, you're barely even in my life. Why are you using words such as I'm your dad, I'm your stepdad? Why are you saying, I didn't say these things to him. I'm thinking them because I'm like, why are you saying this to her? You know what I'm saying? Now, what if my daughter was, oh, shoot. This is about to, let me charge this up. I'm like, what if my daughter, it was one of those little girls that felt like she needed to have a father figure in her life. Maybe she didn't know her dad or something.